Hello, students. Welcome to another episode of Career 360's Institutional Spotlight Series. Today, we are shining the spotlight on the School of Law at SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Joining us for this conversation is Professor Y.S.R. Murthy, the Pro Vice-Chancellor of SRM School of Law. A bit about Professor Y.S.R. Murthy. He is a civil servant turned academic and brings over 4 decades of experience across higher education, human rights, media, and NGOs at national and international levels. An officer from the 1985 batch of the IAS and Allied Services, Dr. Murthy has held key positions in the Ministry of Finance, Prime Minister's Office, and other central institutions. Dr. Murthy is currently a national coordinator of SWAYAM and has received several prestigious awards, including the Justice J.S. Verma National Award and PRCIS Chanakya National Award 2023. He continues to contribute to academia and policy through advisory roles, institutional memberships, and international engagements. A warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for joining us today. My first question would be, SRM School of Law has completed 10 years of its existence. What was the vision behind establishing the school, and how does it fit into SRM's larger academic ecosystem?
In fact, it has completed 12 years of its eventful journey. When SRM School of Law was established way back in 2014, the vision was not merely to add another professional program to the university. The larger idea was to build a serious, futuristic legal institution within SRM's multidisciplinary academic ecosystem where law could interact with technology, management, medicine, science, commerce, public policy, and society. The School of Law became an important academic pillar within SRM Institute of Science and Technology. SRM had already built strong institutions in engineering, medicine, management, science, and humanities. So the introduction of the law school completed a vital dimension of this ecosystem, especially because law today is no longer a standalone discipline. Every major development, whether in artificial intelligence, healthcare, business, finance, environment, governance, or international trade, requires a legal understanding, regulatory clarity, and ethical decision making. So the founding vision was to produce lawyers who are not only well versed in statutes and case law, but who can also understand institutions, industries, communities, and emerging social challenges. The objective was to develop outstanding graduates who can think critically, argue with clarity, write with precision, uphold constitutional values, and respond responsibly to the changing demands of the profession. Over the last decade, SRM School of Law has carried this vision forward through integrated legal education, moot court training, research-oriented learning, legal aid exposure, industry interaction, and programs in emerging areas of law. Its national level moot court initiatives, including the recent focus on securities law and corporate governance in collaboration with the National Foundation for Corporate Governance under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, reflects this emphasis on advocacy and regulatory awareness. What makes SRM's model especially relevant is that a law student here does not learn in isolation. The student is part of the wider university environment where conversations around technology, business, health sciences, innovation, entrepreneurship, and public policy are constantly taking place. This gives students a broader intellectual foundation and prepares them for modern careers in litigation, corporate practice, compliance, policy, academia, technology law, dispute resolution, and public service. In that sense, the vision behind SRM School of Law was both ambitious and practical to build a law school that combines legal knowledge with practical and professional skills, interdisciplinary exposure, and social purpose. As the school completed 12 years, it stands as an integral part of SRMIST's larger mission of creating competent and industry-prepared legal professionals.
SRM offers integrated programs like BALLB and BBALLB. What makes these programs distinct from the traditional legal education models in India? Because
In addition to the BA-LLB and BB-LLB mentioned by you, SRM School of Law also offers BCom LLB and a 3-year undergrad LLB program. Traditionally, in India, if you look at legal education was largely understood through the 3-year LLB model, where a student first completes an undergraduate degree and then enters law. That model continues to remain relevant, especially for graduates who discover their interest in law at a later stage. SRM's 3-year LLB program therefore provides a focused route for students who already have a prior academic foundation and now wish to build a professional career in law. At the same time, SRM's 5-year integrated programs, BALLB, BBLLB, and BCom LLB, offer a valuable pathway for students to enter legal education immediately after they finish their high school. These programs allow students to develop legal knowledge and domain understanding over a sustained 5-year time period while also building research, advocacy, internship, and moot court experience. Each integrated program has its own academic character. BA-LLB gives students a foundation in humanities and social sciences, which is useful for constitutional law, criminal law, public policy, human rights, governance, and litigation. On the other hand, BBA-LLB brings in management and business studies, making it relevant for corporate law, entrepreneurship, compliance, contracts, and mergers and acquisitions. BCom LLB adds a commerce and finance angle, which is invaluable in taxation, banking law, securities law, insolvency, audit, accounting related disputes, and commercial advisory work. What makes SRM's model stronger is that these programs are not taught in isolation. Being part of SRM Institute of Science and Technology's multidisciplinary ecosystem allows law students to understand how legal issues arise in technology, healthcare, business, finance, environment, innovation, and public administration, to mention but a few subjects. This is important because a good lawyer today can not only know the bare text of the law, the lawyer must also understand the industry, the client, the transaction, the policy background, the social consequence of legal decision making. The programs also move beyond a purely classroom based model through moot courts, internships, court visits, legal aid activities, research assignments, seminars, drafting exercises, and interaction with the bar, bench, industry, and academia. Students are gradually trained to think, write, and speak like legal professionals. In that sense, SRM's program structure is distinct because it combines three important layers: a strong legal foundation, a supporting disciplinary foundation, and practical exposure. This gives students the flexibility to move into litigation, corporate law firms, judicial services, civil services, policy think tanks, compliance departments, legal process management, academia, legal technology, international trade, and regulatory practice.
most of the students aspiring to be lawyers aim for the national law entrances, but SRM also has its own entrance exams. So, what would you say to students about choosing this entrance exam of SRM as an alternative route to pursue law at the School of Law?
Thank you. It's a very important question. It's natural for students to aspire for National Law School entrance examination conducted through this combined law entrance examination called CLAT, as they have created a strong awareness about legal education across the country. However, a legal career should not be judged by one entrance examination or one admission route. SRM must be seen as a credible and structured pathway for students who are genuinely committed to pursuing law within the academic environment of SRM Institute of Science and Technology. The strength of the SRM entrance examination is that it gives students access to a multidisciplinary university ecosystem where legal education is not taught in isolation. At SRM, law interacts with management, commerce, technology, public policy, science, health, and industry, and other branches. This is important because modern legal practice is no longer limited to courts alone. It extends to corporate transactions, compliance, technology regulation, intellectual property, public policy, dispute resolution, international trade, and legal research. Second, India currently has about 26 national law universities participating in CLAT, offering around 3,600 to 3,950 undergrad seats and about 1,400 to 1,600 odd PG seats. In CLAT 2025 examination, if you look at 25,000 plus students registered for that exam. Everyone, of course, aspires to study in one of the top five NLUs, and they take nearly a mere 1,000 students. So, SRM School of Law therefore offers a credible alternative to um, quality legal education seekers. Third, one should look at access to High Court, top law firms in a metro city, and other avenues for internship and placement. SRM School of Law, by virtue of being based out of Chennai, is in a unique position with its proximity to Madras High Court, tech parks like Mahindra World City, in which BMW, Infosys, Capgemini, and other such reputed companies have established their manufacturing or R&D bases. Lawyers are needed where there is an intense economic activity going on. They prosper and thrive in such an environment. Chennai hosts such big companies as Joho, KLA Corporation, which is into semiconductor equipment company, Ford, Caterpillar Inc., Amazon, Microsoft, Google, PayPal, PepsiCo, Cognizant, Pfizer, Microchip Technology, ChargeBee, which is a SaaS unicorn, Jarbil, which is a Apple supplier, and many others. Another important advantage is accessibility and merit recognition. Since SRM's law entrance exam is conducted in a remote, proctored online mode, students from any part of the country can take the examination without the burden of travel. Further, merit-based scholarships linked to entrance performance make quality legal education more accessible to deserving students and families. Therefore, students should not look at SRM entrance examination as a compromise, but as a meaningful opportunity. A successful legal career is not created by an entrance examination alone. It is shaped by disciplined learning, good mentorship, internships, mooting, research, communication skills, ethical grounding, and adaptability. In that sense, SRM's entrance examination, SRM is a valuable gateway for students who wish to build their legal career in a forward looking and professionally supportive environment. Finally, the student should take a serious look at SRM School of Law on account of its focus on research, quality of faculty members, rich curriculum, national and international collaborations, and a good student learning experience.
Sir, what was the thought process behind introducing specialization in niche areas like cyber law, corporate law, international trade law? And I mean, there are much more. How do these programs address the evolving industry trends?
It's a very interesting question. Thank you. The thought process behind introducing the specialization was very clear. Legal education must move with the profession, the economy, and society. Law schools can no longer prepare students only for traditional areas of practice. Today, most legal issues have a technological, commercial, regulatory, or cross border dimension. Look at cyber law. It has become extremely relevant because individuals, businesses, and governments are increasingly functioning in digital spaces. issues relating to data protection, cybercrime, digital evidence, online contracts, e-commerce, financial technology, and cybersecurity are now part of everyday legal practice. SRM's Cyber Law and Security Program responds to this demand by exposing students to areas such as data protection, digital forensics, e-commerce, and cyber regulation. Turning to corporate law, it's again equally important because companies today operate in a highly regulated business environment. Corporate governance, mergers and acquisitions, securities law, insolvency, compliance, ESG obligations, investment structures, and shareholder rights have become central to commercial legal practice. The purpose of this specialization is to train students to think like commercial lawyers, to understand business realities, identify risks, interpret regulations, and draft with precision, and advise institutions responsibly. If you look at international trade law, it has also gained significance because business is no longer confined to within the domestic borders. Global supply chains, World Trade Organization or WTO frameworks, investment law, intellectual property rights, import-export regulations, and cross-border transactions require lawyers who can understand both Indian law and international legal principles. This specialization gives students a strong foundations for career in trade advisory, international commercial practice, policy, regulatory work, and multinational business environments. The recent trade and tariff wars have made this specialization extremely relevant. The larger academic objective behind these specializations is to make students industry ready. A general foundation in law is essential, but students must also develop deeper competence in areas where professional demand is growing. Law firms, companies, consulting organizations, government bodies, and international institutions increasingly look for graduates who can understand specialized legal issues from the beginning. Therefore, these specializations were not introduced merely as attractive additions to the curriculum. They reflect a deliberate academic response to the changing legal market.
Now we've just discussed there is the legal education is rapidly evolving, changes in technology, policies, global business practices, because everything is changing currently. How is this SRM School of Law ensuring that its curriculum is very relevant to all the changing trends, because everything is so rapidly changing?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Legal education today cannot remain static. The legal profession is changing because technology, global business, corporate regulation, data protection, AI, fintech, environmental compliance, cross-border transactions are creating new legal challenges. SRM School of Law recognizes this shift and ensures that students are trained not only to understand the law in books, but also to understand how law operates in courts, companies, markets, and governance systems. The school is also strengthening its focus on emerging and specialized areas of law, including cyber law, corporate law, international trade law, intellectual property, technology regulation, securities law, data protection, and governance. These areas are important because the modern legal profession increasingly requires lawyers who can understand specialized regulatory issues and respond to industry expectations. Technology is another important part of legal training. Students today must know how to use digital legal databases, understand electronic evidence, appreciate cyber security risks, engage with online dispute resolution, and develop awareness of legal tech tools. SRM's emphasis on digital research, technology-related legal issues help students prepare for a profession that is increasingly technology-driven. Finally, SRM School of Law keeps its curriculum relevant by combining a strong foundation in core legal subjects with exposure to technology, industry, policy, governance, and global legal developments.
So we were talking about moot courts earlier. We were discussing that it's part of the system. So it is moot courts are a critical part of legal training. So and SRM has been actively hosting national level moot court competitions and also offering the experiences to their students. How do these prepare the students for real courtroom and corporate legal environments? Because this is a mock, but that is reality.
Moot courts are one of the most effective ways of converting classroom learning into professional legal training. A student may understand the law in theory, but real training begins when the student applies law to facts, interprets judgments, prepares written submissions, and presents arguments before a bench. At SRM School of Law, mooting is treated as an important part of experiential legal education. It is not viewed merely as a competition, but as structured method of training students to think, research, draft, and speak like lawyers. For students interested in litigation, moot courts provide early exposure to courtroom discipline. They learn how to frame issues, build arguments, distinguish precedents, answer judicial questions, and remain composed under pressure. These are skills that cannot be developed through classroom lectures alone. They require practice, feedback, and repeated exposure to simulated court proceedings. Mooting is equally valuable to students interested in corporate law firms, in-house legal teams, regulatory practice, and commercial advisory work. Corporate practice also requires deep research, structured analysis, precise drafting, risk identification, teamwork, and the ability to explain complex legal issues clearly. A well-drafted moot memorial reflects the same discipline required in legal opinions, arbitration briefs, regulatory notes, and transaction-related memoranda. SRM's moot court initiatives also expose students to contemporary legal issues. For instance, the annual moot court competition 2026 on securities law, organized in collaboration with the National Foundation for Corporate Governance under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, required students to engage with issues relating to algorithmic trading, automated trading systems, high frequency transactions, and regulatory oversight of advanced financial markets. These are real issues that regulators, corporations, financial institutions, and legal advisors are dealing with today. Moot courts also build discipline, teamwork, and confidence. Students often spend several weeks on research, memorial drafting, strategy discussions, and oral rehearsals. They learn to divide responsibilities, accept feedback, and revise arguments and perform within strict timelines, which closely reflects the working culture of litigation chambers, law firms, and corporate legal departments. Thus, SRM's national level moot competitions serve a larger purpose than winning awards. They create a professional environment within the law school and expose students to national competition, external evaluation, and contemporary legal issues and the expectations of the profession. In that sense, mooting prepares students not only for courtrooms but also for boardrooms, regulatory forums, arbitration practice, corporate advisory work, and every space where law must be researched, reasoned, and presented with conviction.
What steps are being taken to strengthen the international collaborations, student exchange programs, and global exposure opportunities for law students?
The global exposure has become an essential part of legal education because law is no longer confined within national boundaries. Areas such as international trade, data protection, climate change, intellectual property, human rights, arbitration, corporate transactions, and technology regulation require students to understand how legal systems interact across jurisdictions. SRM School of Law recognizes this need and seeks to prepare students as professionals with comparative global and interdisciplinary understanding. Being part of SRM Institute of Science and Technology's larger international academic ecosystem gives the school a strong foundation to promote global legal awareness through academic interactions, research collaborations, student mobility opportunities, and exposure to foreign universities. For law students, this exposure is invaluable in many ways. Guest lectures, international academic interactions, moods, conferences, research projects, and collaborative learning opportunities help students engage with foreign judgments, treaties, model laws, global policy documents, and comparative legal systems. This is particularly relevant in areas such as international trade law, corporate law, intellectual property, cyber law, arbitration, environmental law, and human rights. So, the SRM School of Law's international orientation has a meaningful foundation in the sense that our School of Law was inaugurated by the First Lady of the State of Maryland, Judge Catherine O'Malley, along with the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court of Maryland, Mary Ellen Barbara, and judicial delegates from Maryland. This reflects the institution's broader legal and academic outlook. So, therefore, internationalization at SRM School of Law is not only about formal collaborations or mobility programs. It is about building global legal awareness through comparative learning, academic interaction, research, moot court exposure, student mobility, and interdisciplinary engagement so that students graduate with confidence in Indian law as well as the ability to understand legal developments in a connected world.
Right, sir. How is the institution leveraging technology in legal education through digital research tools, AI-powered legal learning platforms, or virtual simulations?
Technology has become inseparable from legal education. A modern law student cannot depend only on printed textbooks and classroom lectures. Today's lawyer is expected to use digital legal databases, understand electronic records, work with online filing systems, appreciate cybersecurity risks, analyze data protection obligations, and engage responsibly with artificial intelligence and legal tech tools. One important area is digital legal research. Students are trained to use legal databases effectively, identify binding precedents, compare judgments, trace statutory amendments, and conduct citation based research. This is a core professional skill as lawyers, law firms, courts, and academic researchers increasingly rely on digital research platforms for accurate and efficient legal work. AI powered legal learning is also becoming increasingly relevant. While artificial intelligence cannot replace legal reasoning, ethical judgment, or professional responsibility, it can support legal research, document review, case analysis, and drafting assistance and comparative study. Being a part of SRM Institute of Science and Technologies, larger technology-rich university ecosystem gives our law school an additional advantage. Law students are placed within an academic environment where technology, engineering, management, science, and research are already strong. This allows legal education to engage naturally with emerging areas such as artificial intelligence, regulation, cybersecurity, data privacy, intellectual property, digital commerce, and technology governance.
The practical training is very important, and that is where internships come into existence. So, how does SRM help students gain practical exposure through internships, court visits, legal aid programs, and finally in industry interactions?
Internships are one of the most important parts of legal education because they help students understand the profession beyond the classroom. While subjects like constitutional law, contracts, criminal law, and corporate law provide the academic foundation, it is through internships, court visits, legal aid activities, and professional interactions that students begin to see how law works in real life. At SRM School of Law, practical exposure is treated as an essential part of professional formation. The objective is not merely to complete internship requirements, but to help students identify their strengths, interests, and career direction. This law offers multiple pathways, right from litigation to corporate practice to policy research to compliance, judicial services, academia, and social justice work. Internships help students discover these possibilities very early. Students are exposed to different professional environments such as courts, law offices, corporate legal departments, NGOs, government bodies, research organizations, and other legal institutions. Each setting teaches something distinct. Court internships help students understand filing, case movement, client interaction, oral arguments, and litigation discipline. Law firm and corporate internships develop skills in drafting, due diligence, contract review, legal research, compliance, and professional communication. NGO and legal aid internships sensitize students to access justice, social welfare laws, and the role of law in protecting vulnerable communities. Court visits also help students observe the justice delivery system closely. They learn courtroom etiquette, procedural discipline, pleadings, evidence, adjournments, arguments, and the practical challenges of litigation. Legal aid programs add a deeper social dimension by reminding students that law is not only a profession but also a public responsibility rooted in empathy, ethics, and constitutional values. SRM also places importance on industry interaction. Engagement with lawyers, judges, corporate professionals, compliance experts, policy makers, and academics help students understand current professional expectations and emerging areas such as corporate law, cyber law, securities regulation, intellectual property, arbitration, international trade, and data protection. Our students they also regularly intern with Tier 1 law firms and reputed law chambers, which gives them valuable exposure to professional drafting, research, client advisory, and commercial legal practice. Recently, our students also had the opportunity to intern as leads rights protection program spotters for the International Cricket Council ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026. Finally, internships and practical exposure make students more confident, realistic, and professionally prepared. They learn to research better, write better, communicate better, and conduct themselves responsibly in professional settings. SRM's approach is therefore to treat internships, court exposure, legal aid, and industry interaction as part of a continuous learning journey so that students graduate with practical awareness, professional discipline, social sensitivity, and a clear sense of career direction.
Right. My final question, sir. For students who are aspiring to pursue law but are very much uncertain about what the career opportunities are, what would the advice be that you would give to them?
Thank you. It's a very interesting question. My first advice to students is simple. Do not feel anxious if you are interested in law but are not yet certain about your exact career path. This is completely normal. Many good lawyers discover their real area of interest only after entering law school, while doing internships, participating in moot courts, attending court proceedings, writing research papers, and interacting with professionals. Law is one of the few disciplines that opens many doors. It is not limited only to litigation, though litigation remains one of the noblest and most respected branches of the profession. A law graduate today can build a career in courts, law firms, corporate legal departments, compliance teams, policy institutions, research organizations, government service, judicial services, arbitration, intellectual property, cyber law, international trade, taxation, legal technology, academia, and social justice work. Students should therefore look at law not as a mere narrow career choice, but as a strong professional foundation. The real question is not whether law has opportunities. It certainly does. The more important question is whether the student is willing to develop the qualities the profession demands. They include reading, discipline, patience, research ability, clear writing, ethical judgment, communication skills, and independent thinking. Students also need to decide in the first year whether they want to become corporate lawyers, litigators, judges, civil servants, policy researchers, or academics. Law school is the place where the discovery gradually happens through internships, moot courts, court visits, legal aid, research, seminars, and interaction with practitioners. Students begin to understand their strengths and professional interests. For instance, a student who enjoys public speaking and argument may find interest in litigation or arbitration. A student who enjoys drafting and commercial problem solving may move towards corporate law. A student interested in technology may explore cyber law, data protection, or legal technology. A student sensitive to social issues may find purpose in legal aid, human rights, public policy, or development sector work. This is where the role of an institution becomes very important. A good law school must not merely teach subjects, it must create opportunities for students to test themselves and understand the profession. SRM School of Law's emphasis on moot court exercises, internships, research, legal aid, mentoring, and practical exposure help students move from uncertainty to clarity. The legal profession is also changing rapidly. New areas such as artificial intelligence regulation, data privacy, fintech, securities law, environmental compliance, corporate governance, and international trade are creating opportunities that did not exist in the same form earlier on. Students who remain curious, disciplined, and willing to learn will find that law offers both stability and growth. So, my message to students is this: you do not need to have every answer on day one. Choose the right academic environment, expose yourself to different forms of practice, take internships seriously, build your writing and research skills, and remain open to growth. A legal career is built gradually through reading, observation, mentorship, practice, confidence, and persistence. With that mindset, law offers not only career opportunities but also purpose, public responsibility, and lifelong intellectual growth.
Thank you so much, sir. Very well said. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you. Pleasure interacting with you.